Hello, welcome to our Entity Framework and Link tutorial where I, Mustafa, will cover Entity Framework and Kevin will cover Link. So the agenda for today is I'll give an overview of our third year project, Peer Assessment Simplified System, or PASS. I'll define Entity Framework, how to use it, then Kevin will define Link, give an overview of Link syntax, and delve into some Lambda functions, and we'll have a conclusion at the end. So what is PASS? It's a system that allows teachers to set up class evaluations using their rubrics. PASS uses Entity Framework to manage its data between the database and the application. PASS allows teachers to schedule these evaluations at a certain time, and it also allows students to evaluate one another and the teacher to retrieve all those marks and have it displayed in an easy-to-read report. Now, Entity Framework is a framework introduced by Microsoft that makes it much easier to make calls to the database and retrieve and to do CRUD operations on the database for an application. It uses entity objects, which are somewhat like classes, but they're more specialized for the purpose of representing tables. They have constraints, they can have relationships between one another, and they are used to make sure that the data is true to what it's supposed to be. Entity Framework has three approaches. We have code first, database first, and model first. PASS used mostly code first, and it interfaced with CSAdmin, which is used to manage its logins using database first. But mostly we use code first, which is laying out all the model classes in an actual code and writing out the attributes that would be in a database table and writing out the relationships between the database tables and the model class. Database first is pretty much creating the database and then importing it using Server Explorer to create the entity objects. And then model first is using Visual Studio's modeling tool to create your database. So we use code first in PASS. Now I'm going to show you PASS's project structure. Let me just close all these. We separated PASS into two projects. The PASS project here is the front-facing one, which is all the GUI stuff. And then we have the business business project, which is PASS entity, which holds all the model classes, all the data, the business classes, and all that. Now to install Entity Framework, you see in the references here that we have Entity Framework installed. Now we just go to Project and into the Manage NuGet packages, and we can see that Entity Framework is installed. So if you ever want to install Entity Framework, all you have to do is use NuGet's package manager, browse, search up Entity Framework, and then we can install it, but I'm not going to uninstall it right now. So I'll give you an example of what Entity Framework is, like of a code snippet that uses Entity Framework. In our BLL here, let me go here, rubric BL. So for model first, we laid out all our, these are supposed to represent tables as assessment, assessment team, assessment user, and then PASS context is used to aggregate all the tables, and it'll allow us to connect to Entity Framework. So as you see here in the rubric business layer class, we initialize a PASS context object, and then we use all the classes here that are already loaded in with data to create our CRUD operations or anything we need for business-wise. So, for example, the create rubric for a teacher takes in teacher ID, title of a rubric, and a rubric type. Now we initialize a new rubric class based on the classes laid out here, and then we give it a title, give it all its attributes that we need, and then we simply, instead of having to create an update, instead of having to use a create statement, a create SQL statement, we just access the EntityFramework past context class here, and then we add it to the rubrics DB set, which we created, and then we save the changes, and it will accordingly send out the SQL statements to the database. So that is pretty much a nutshell of what EntityFramework is used for and how it's laid out when you use code first. Now I'm going to pass it along to Kevin, and he'll go over Link.